there are two things which I have realized is what gets people excited about. One is epiphany and next is nostalgia. The whole storytelling is based on the fact that everybody has to get something out of it. It has to do with history or music or pop culture, modern day civics, modern day democracy, things that have happened because there's one dude doing lots of stuff.
Hello and welcome to Your Heart's Content, a YouTube show where we're going to look at the aspects of content that really matter, the thought processes, the systems, and the inspiration. I'm your host, Deepak Gopalakrishnan, aka Chuck, and I'm Utsav. In this show, we're going to be speaking to some people who think deeply about the space of content. Creators, musicians, folks in the business of content, all in a bid to try and understand this space of content a little better and how you could benefit from it. Today, we are going to speak to Berty Ashley. Those of you who know me know that, well, he's kind of like my partner in crime for many of the random things that I end up doing. Now, Berty is one of my closest friends, but every time I meet him, I learn something new about him. So I thought, let's just get him to a chair and let's just get him to spill the beans for 2 straight hours. And that's exactly what we did.
There's this joy of, okay, I am taking somebody on a journey and I hope to motivate them, encourage them, and if I may use the word, inspire them to know more about something that they don't know.
Yeah. So Berty is a truly multifaceted person. He's a scientist and he's done all sorts of things like artificial DNA and writing papers. He's also a musician and his musical interests vary from technical death metal all the way to Hindustani ragas.
Why is there a bassoon solo in the middle of a reggae piece?
And he's also a quizzer who derives particular joy out of running quizzes for non-quizzers. I find that beautiful. And he is also somebody who runs a lot of on-ground events with various kinds of formats, which you will see in this particular conversation. So we speak to Berty about a whole bunch of things. His thoughts about content, his media diet since growing up, his background, various pieces of trivia, and specifically, we asked him to break down one of the on-ground projects that he did, which combines a variety of performance styles along with history. And we think you'll find that utterly fascinating. All right then, on with the phenom. Watch out for the bad jokes, by the way. Phenom that is Berty Ashley. Berty, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for making the time.
Absolutely. My pleasure and honor to be here. I was hoping to be part of the cohort. And then when you asked me to be a guest, I was like, yes, I've ascended to the next.
You already clearly have. You've transcended. So, Berty, quizzer, scientist, artist manager, musician, author. What am I missing?
Is that alphabetical, chronological? What was that?
Nothing. It was just what came to my mind.
What are you missing? Vinyl collector? I don't know.
Sure, actually, that's actually a good one.
I think that's about it. Yeah. Professionally, all of the above. Yeah.
Professionally, all of the above. So, unprofessionally, what all? So, okay, vinyl collector.
Unprofessionally, punmaker.
Okay.
Local jokester.
Okay.
Official coffee taster. Yeah.
Official coffee taster.
Yeah. If anybody who needs to know where the best coffee is in Bangalore or Mysore, what are the different coffee blends you get. Yeah.
Yeah. The fount of youth. Fount of yeah, sure. Youth. Yeah, let's go with youth. Let's go. Yeah, let's go with youth for now. But jokes apart, Berty, thank you for making the time to do this, because when we were putting this guest list together, I want to say that you were pretty much like on the top of the top of the heap of people who I wanted to speak to. Not just because you are like a damn interesting person, but also because you do so many things that are very disparate. Just want to see what ties all of it.
You did say disparate, right?
Huh?
I thought it was desperate and that too.
Yeah, sure, that too. Yeah, I see where the unprofessional part kind of comes in. And the punmaker also. Yeah. So, okay, so first question, and here's the thing. We have known each other for a while, and I think we have got to know each other fairly well. And every time I meet you, there's always something new that I discover about you. So I want to use this opportunity in some sense to kind of complete my Wikipedia of you, right? So Since we're going to be talking about content, what is one of the things that I'm very curious about is at various points of your life, what was your, I want to say like media diet? Because I think the person you are today is the culmination of a lot of different kinds of things, right? So I just want to know, like, what are the things that you read, listened to, consumed, if I may, when you were growing up, teenage, college, everything, all the way up to even like right now?
Okay. Okay, so can I give a bit of context?
Of course.
Some history. So the thing is, I was born in a tiny town called Madurai down south. And it's not even a metro. Even now, by today's standards, it's not. It's a tiny town. It's steeped rich in history and culture. One of the things that I love to say is that my schooling was on a road called Tamil Sangam Road. And it's called Tamil Sangam Road because there used to be an organization called the Tamil Sangam, which had its third ever conference on the beauty and of the grammar of the language Tamil 10,000 years back.
Wow.
Okay. And that is knowing that the conference itself, the third version of the conference, predates some of the modern languages that exist now. Yeah. Right. So the city has always been steeped in history and culture, and I was a very, very curious kid. Okay. I was always asking why, how, what, when. Genuinely, I was the most irritating kid. Okay, I still am. Very, very irritating because I love to get to the bottom of things. If something is that, like, why is it that way? How is it that way? So it manifested itself in two ways. One is that I became a quizzer, and the others became a researcher, a scientist, and both are aimed towards finding answers. And when I was a kid, me being very curious, obviously my parents did the best thing the parents can do, played passing the parcel. Oh, do you want to know? Go ask your dad. My dad would be like, I'm busy. And then we had my grandmother and my grandfather, my maternal grandparents, at home with us. Now, my grandfather was a collector of Reader's Digest and National Geographic, purely for the value it added to the fact that we were upper middle class. So it looks good if you have Reader's Digest. Right?
Oh, wow. That is...
And he was like, go read those books.
Go read.
And I was lucky because my grandmother was a botanist, and she was
Oh, okay.
True fact, she was my super senior in my own college. I sat on the same bench and learnt evolution when she learnt. But when she studied in 1948, the smallest thing they knew of was a cell. But when I was sitting there, I was talking about DNA and RNA. Wow. So between us in the same family on the same bench, science had progressed. So they were able to help me get to a place of trying to understand information and trying to get to knowledge. And they'll just say, go to the book and figure it out. Now, I do have to say that although I was born in a very, I won't say conservative, but a Christian family, culturally I am, otherwise I'm not. But then they could have at any point have said, no, God created or something like that. But both to their, till today, I'm thankful that they said, okay, try to find out how it happened. What's the Big Bang? Go read this. Go read. We didn't have the internet then, right? But we had National Geographic and we had this Tell Me Why series. Yeah. And then my mom was in school, so she used to come back with, encyclopedias and give it. And we still have those. So I grew up reading that. And because of my grandmother's interest in animals, I also became a reader of Gerald Durrell and, all these books about animals. And I loved reading up about any animal. By the way, can I have a rant?
Yes, of course you can.
Okay, so there are lots of people here. Okay, all of you have been babies at some point of time.
Yeah.
All babies get a book called the ABC book. Right? Yeah. And it's always A for apple, A for something, B for ball, B for boy, C for cat, whatever, D for dog, whatever. But there's one thing which is the same in every single children's book. And it's this very weird thing which should not be normalized. But it's been normalized. And all of you are like, yeah, it exists. But it shouldn't. It's Z for zebra. A zebra is a weird animal. It's it's like a walking black and white, code on that market code. It's
barcode.
Yeah, it's a walking barcode. It's black and white in a savanna jungle which is surrounded by green and brown. So it's not camouflage, obviously. And it exists. And the reason we don't think of it as weird is because since we're a baby, we're like, Z for zebra, it exists. So it's crazy, right? And after all these years of my life, I finally find out that the only reason a zebra is striped black and white is because...
Skin problem?
Every single zebra in the world has a skin problem, you're saying.
Sure, what reasoning is this? I mean,
Okay, go on. So what do you think it is?
it only has.
There are two reasons why things have a certain color.
Is it to do with night and day or something?
So either it's camouflage or looks sexy for the other.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, in birds, the females are the ones who are drab colored and the males are the ones who have to look good, which is the opposite of what it should be in nature. Right? Now, basically, so the guys put in effort.
Yeah.
They put up makeup, they have different color, and they look good for the girls. And they say, okay, you're the one, now you can mate with me. And that's how birds reproduce. But in zebras, all of them look the same. So that doesn't work. Two, camouflage. So chameleon, octopi, they camouflage themselves. But what is a zebra camouflage with? It's not like a chessboard is behind them or a checkerboard is behind them in the jungle. The only reason a zebra has stripes is because the black and white stripes have different effects on the heat and flies don't land on them. Zebras have very short tails, so they can't swat flies. So they developed a linear sliced exactly opposite striped skin so that flies can't land on them. And it became an actual study, and it proved it so much that in the UK they have horses which cosplay like zebras. Because they put zebra striped clothing on the horses to stop flies sitting on them. It's a very weird thing, right?
It's a very weird thing. But the thing that you haven't answered.
Thought about it.
We'll never look at zebras the same way again. But the question now remains, what do we replace Z for zebra with then?
Xenophobia,
right?
Expert whatever. Z for Maruti Zen. I'm a 90s kid.
You're going. Let's go back to Gerald Durrell and.
Yeah, so I grew up reading a lot of books. Until today, I'm a bibliophile. I read a lot of things, and we had access to Star Plus and Star Movies and Discovery Channel, Animal Planet. So I grew up, and I was somebody who took in a lot of content, to use the word, in many forms, in books, in TV, in movies, in comics, in magazines. I used to watch every single cartoon on Cartoon Network, and I used to go a step further. Like, for example, I think at some point of time, I discovered that we were missing one season of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because Cartoon Network stopped after they reached a certain... Krang became the head brain and they stopped. And they went back to playing the first season. I didn't know what was happening. So I wrote a mail to my cousin in the US and asked him what season he is.
Update about what's...
and he said, no, it's gone this further. And obviously at that time, we couldn't see whatever happening. So he used to give me, send me through letters, tell me, okay, this is what happened, this is exactly what happened, and this is what... And eventually we did get to see those sales. So I was invested in multiple universes. And for me, I have this thing about that I can have multiple parallel beliefs. So for me, X-Files was real, Dexter's Laboratory was real. So and it's very weird because when we were in school and I saw Dexter's Laboratory or Star Wars or Star Trek, something was fiction. It was science fiction. Oh, wow. And in college, it was not fiction anymore. It was factual. And then now, I am doing those things. I am part of the fiction that I thought was a different universe, and now I am creating it. And I believe that my upbringing towards being able to not only grasp it, but understand how it works led me to the situation where now I am sitting making artificial DNA in my lab, which I don't think it would have been as easy to understand how it works if earlier I didn't have the upbringing to understand how the whole world works and break it down into its fundamentals. So
I mean, fascinating. Like, do you think that, I mean, you consume lots of kinds of content, like there were TMNT on one hand, there was animal books on the other hand, and then there was whatever, like a book of trivia or whatever else. So at some level, do you think like there's a collective more than sum of parts effect almost of having been in so many different universes in some way? Like, I've phrased that question very clunkily.
Oh, no, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. And it does manifest itself in my quizzing persona.
Yes.
For example, when I was reading up about the Nobel Prizes, a fact which any quizzer would know is that the Nobel Prizes were started in the 1900s and 1901. And the very first organization to win the Nobel Prize was the Red Cross, right? And so as a quizmaster, you want to make a question about it. Now, the easiest way to do it is which was the first organization to win the Nobel Prize. It's boring. It's a know it or not. And I wanted to make it interesting.
It's not workable either.
It's not workable.
Either you know it or don't know it.
Exactly. Absolutely. But then I realized there's a lovely way to make it, because from my other part of the brain, I remembered Aztecs in Switzerland. And in Aztecs in Switzerland, there's a particular panel where the Swiss are fighting with the Romans. I mean, everybody's fighting with the Romans. They're crazy. So, and there's one Swiss guy who has this typical cliche Swiss outfit with the red and white checked shirt, and he whacks the Roman legionary, and the Roman legionary goes flying, comes back, and he's got the stars and everything. And then this guy
Takes care
bandages
of him.
him.
Yeah, I remember.
And then they say, I don't understand what you're doing. You hit me up and now you're taking care of me. And this guy says, no, that's just like a country. Yes, we take care of other combatants as well. So I put up the panel and said, this is the panel. Okay.
Nice.
Look at the clues in the panel. What organization is this a reference to? And the fact that the Red Cross is literally the opposite of the Swiss flag. The Swiss flag is a white cross on a red background, and the Red Cross is a red cross on a white background, because it was started by Henry Durant, who's a Swiss. He wanted to pay homage to his country. And now that's a workoutable question. And you work it. So you have different universes coming together to help me to understand. And it at any point of time, I have like 3 parallel universes running together.
Running in your head.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You should donate your brain to science, maybe, and we'll figure out.
I mean, Einstein, he tried donating, but they stole it.
They stole it, right?
It's in 2 pieces right now. Yeah. And the second person who has it doesn't know where it is. And there is a very good story that they dropped it and now they have a pickled onion instead of a brain.
Pickled onion. I mean, not that I wish death on you anytime soon, but at least we know where your brain is going now.
Thank you, sir.
Let's jump from there to, I want to ask you about, I don't know, like basically deep dive into one of the projects that you did recently.
You're a big fan of deep diving, aren't you?
I am a very big.
How many meters?
I am certified to go till 30 meters. Yes. I don't think that counts as deep diving, but at least that's what PADI, Advanced Open Water, will allow me to dive till legally. No, but I want to deep dive into a project that you did recently, which was Hysterically Yours.
Hysterically Yours sounds very interesting. What is that? Mine was Historically Speaking.
Historically speaking. But jokes and my mistakes aside, we are leaving that in the edit because we believe in authenticity on this show. But the idea was very you, and I think it could have been done only by you. So tell us one about it in case there's somebody who doesn't know what it is about, and just walk us through the journey of how you conceptualized it and what the process of putting the whole thing together was, and then we'll click on various links from there.
Okay. Now, basically, I have been doing events, and one of the events that I do which brings in people are quizzes. Right. So there was this place in Bangalore recently opened called Underline Center. And it's a community space, and they made this horrible mistake of telling me that anything you want to do, you can do it here. I was like, open canvas. Thank you so much. You're going to regret it. So, and they thought that they'd be like, okay, Berty's going to do a quiz. People are going to show up. We're good. I was like, no, the last thing I want to do here is a quiz. And so I said, I am going to do stand-up comedy history quiz about somebody's bum. And that was the pitch. And because they'd already given me the caveat that whatever you're going to do, they're like,
They didn't read their own fine print, did they?
They were like, yeah, are you sure? I'm like, yes. So the whole pitch was, it's how somebody's bottom is responsible for the economic, the economy right now and the way the world is. And that was a pitch. And they said, are you going to tell us anymore? They're like, just give me a screen and I'll do my PPT and just sell it. And we sold it. So this came about because amongst the many things I love is history, right? And I love the fact that we are a very, very tiny part of the history of the universe. If you took the entire history of the universe as a calendar, we are literally the last 2 seconds of December 31st of the calendar of 52 weeks. And in that, there's so much stuff that's happened, which we do not know has led to certain domino effects happening that have changed the world over the course of time. And one of those things was this very tiny thing about how one person's hemorrhoids is responsible for all of us talking in English right now. And I wanted to build that as a story. And in the story, also talk about the different things that have happened because of this one person and his very selfish, self-absorbed drive to do good for the world. He ended up doing lots of things. Very few are good, you could say, but he did. But one of the things he did not realize he would do is because of his butt, have everybody talk in English. Now, spoiler alert, I've done only this once and that's in Bangalore, but people in Pune and Mumbai have asked me to come and do it. And by this time, because of social media, everybody knows what I'm talking about. This is a story of Napoleon Bonaparte and the greatest military general of all time. Now, because I am talking, I call myself the Incredible Hulk. Now, this is a video, right? Podcast. So everybody can see that I am quite bulky and hulky.
Okay.
No,
Right.
you're
So I've been called Incredible Bulk and all. So now Incredible Hulk
You're
is
the
somebody
credible,
gets...
you're the credible.
Yeah, I am the Credible Hulk. So Incredible Hulk is somebody who gets angry when so I am a Credible Hulk because I get angry when somebody questions my credibility. So I always back up my anger with facts by references and studies and historical documents. So my entire tirade will say some random stuff and they'll be like, what are you saying? And then be like, oh, that's because of, and put up an actual historical study, something from academia, give proper references and so on and so forth. And the entire story is about how because Napoleon had a love for riding horses, and he just loved horses, and he even had a horse called Marengo. If you were to Google Napoleon, you're going to show up either the actor from Tamil Nadu or this guy. And this lovely piece of him eating chicken on GIF is going to be there. And that is obviously Emperor Napoleon on a horse. And that is Marengo, the horse. And because he loved riding horses, he had boils on his butt. Right? Is this... You said this is very you. This is you or PG. How do you define this?
No, this is not PG.
Then it's you. Okay, fine. I talked about you rate.
You rating, PG rating. Oh my God. I can't believe you are the ones slow to catch on jokes.
Yeah. Now with
So
Berty takes a...
now we've gone to the butt area. So because of that, he was in war and he wanted to take over the English. Now this is absolutely true. The English had given up all hope of winning the war. They're like, oh, damn it, he's coming down on us. We are gone. So they actually send Horatio Nelson in front, Admiral Nelson, and say, listen, try to keep him back as long as you can while the royals escape. And Nelson's almost like charge of the light brigade types. He's like, oh, that's it. I'm going to die anyway. Might as well go down with the last hurrah. And these guys are advancing. But what happens is Napoleon's in a lot of pain and his doctor runs out of medicine. And he says, bro, I don't have the medicine, but I can give you something to dull the pain. And so he gives him something that at that time was available, is a combination of opium and alcohol, which obviously dulls the pain.
And dulls a lot else too.
Yes. And makes him very groggy, makes him take certain decisions which are not very good for military maneuvers, like saying, they're expecting us in 4 days. What if we march throughout the night and end up there in 2 days? Haha, we'll catch them by surprise. But the entire army is now marching continuously for 48 hours. They are there 2 days ahead. And the English are like, oh my God, they're here already. But they're tired. And the Brits go and attack, expecting to be slaughtered. And they go find the French, are like, I can't fight. Okay, just kill me. That's it. And they're lying down. And Emperor Napoleon gets caught and taken away. And that's how he gets stopped. Because of his butt. Now, the point is, if that hadn't happened, and if the doctor had his medicines and Napoleon, he would have taken over. He would have taken over the French. And this is in 1815. And he would have taken over the United Kingdom. And then French would have been... So two things would have happened. English would not have been the universal language it is. And two, we'll all be driving on the other side of the road right now.
Yeah.
Which is the same in Pune. They drive on all sides of the road.
Oh, we just had this discussion with Komal, who's part of our production team. And
Let's not
No, I love it. Maharashtra, they don't have concept of extreme right, extreme left. Every drive wherever you want. They are center India. Center of India.
Which is fair. But let's now come back to hysterically speaking, yours.
So I did this. And
but that is a concept. That is a story.
The story. And this is the first episode. There are a few more. The next one is about how a computer put the first 2 feet on the top of the highest mountain on earth.
Oh, very interesting.
No more. No spoilers.
Yeah, but no spoilers. But no, don't give us spoilers and teasers. Like, okay, so this was the fact that you knew. How did you turn this into like
story.
See, like you can what the fact that you mentioned could be a 2-line fact that could be sent on WhatsApp, right? Yeah, exactly. You clearly created an event out of it for whatever 1.5, 2 hours, whatever, entertain some, whatever 100, 200 people. Tell us about that process. Like, how did you have this? I mean, having the fact is one thing, right? To me, the fact is incidental, to be very honest, right? Even this or the Everest thing. And for me, the more interesting
Mountain.
yeah. The more interesting thing, sorry, I'm from Pune, sorry.
He does only take these.
The more interesting thing is how do you convert something like that into...
so this is pure storytelling, right?
Yeah, so exactly. That's why I have you here.
Thank you. I do factual storytelling.
Yeah.
So I just say truth is stranger than fiction, right? So I talk about... So the whole thing is the history is a canvas in which you can paint that time. So, for example, music is a great way to paint sounds, right? Sure. If you write a song, you're taking notes and painting. And painting is using a canvas to do with colors. So, history is basically taking stories and painting a picture out of it, right? Sure. Now, I know multiple facts from this. Like I told you the main fact.
But I'm sure there are others.
There are other facts. Yeah. For example, did you know, like one of the things which makes it way into the story is a fact that you know about people who are legends, right? We're like, in retrospect, they're legends. Mm-hmm. Like Vincent van Gogh is a legend in retrospect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? Napoleon was a legend in his own time. And the reason why being, because while he's doing all these things, another great legend in his own time is Ludwig van Beethoven. And Beethoven learns about all of this and decides to write a symphony honoring Napoleon. And he writes a Symphonia Eroica, the Symphony of Heroism, Napoleon. And he writes this beautiful piece. It's got lots of action, it's up and down, it's still available. And he's finished it and he leaves it around on his table to show his friends, hey, I've written a symphony for Napoleon. And he is anti-monarchist. And he loves the fact that he is a man who believes in liberty, equality, fraternity. He's going through all these places and making sure that people have a good time. And then one of Beethoven's friends comes and says, bro, I've got some bad news for you. Okay, he can't do this. He has to shout, bro, I've got a bad news for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sorry. But it's truth. And he says, Napoleon just crowned himself Emperor of Europe. And he's like, what? And then there's a lovely line. He says, he too has become a man who thinks of himself as God, is what Beethoven actually says. Or he too has become, I can't do the German accent, let's not. Okay. He thinks then, okay, oh my God, this guy who I thought is fighting for us is now a monarchist. Yeah. So he takes a pen and scratches out Napoleon's name. And we have that original document till today, where he scratches out Napoleon's name. And he just says Symphonia Eroica, leaves out all mention of
So now
Napoleon.
It's about heroism in
it's just Symphonia Eroica. That's what it's called. And that you still have the document and it's like it's deep. Like it leaves marks in the desk.
You can clearly feel the hatred. Scratched with some amount of rage.
Yeah, in full rage. Yeah.
Betrayal actually, yeah.
No, that's Symphony 5. That's different. Sorry.
Again, but we go back to the question I was asking, which is how, like, don't tell us more facts. Like, fact embargo for the next 10 minutes. Like, tell us about the show. How did you construct this? And you said it was storytelling. Yeah. But, like, take us through that process of...
Okay, so...
You had the idea. You had the space.
The most important thing is that I learned how to do PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And just what is...
You're a quizzer, I mean,
yeah. So, okay, my point was 90 minutes. And we just take people through... I had like 10, 12 facts which I wanted to talk about and take them through the story and also introduce people to music, to books, to bands. Obviously, I had to mention ABBA because, Napoleon Waterloo, stuff like that. So I had a list of things I wanted to talk about. Which are all part of the history, which we might not think about as something that's connected to this dude over there. Right. So my entire story was that I made a folder. Right. And I knew the facts that I want to talk about.
Right.
Sorry. And then I got all the academia from it, the papers, the references, talked to some experts, got everything that I wanted, put it down. For example, one of the facts or one of the people I talked to was a sports analyst in the US, and I had to understand a system called WAR rating, WAR. It's a rating by which they rate baseball players in the US.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. And I had to understand how it works statistically, like spent 2 hours talking to him, figuring out for a 10-second entire segment in the whole thing about quantifying the effect of Napoleon as a leader. Because the best way to quantify it is using the war system, which is used in baseball. And that guy has used it for other means, and Napoleon fit into it. So then I had to do all this research, put it down. And for me, it doesn't matter take however long I want, as long as there's a good fact and it's presented well. And people, my point is, whenever I do a quiz or a gig or when I give a talk, I do these lectures in colleges and schools, and they're filled with lots of things, is that if at least two people in the audience find one fact interesting and they're like, oh, this is something I want to tell someone else, then my job is done. And so I built this storyline which takes us through all these facts, and obviously had to force feed some jokes in the middle, have to do some humor, and also my music. Like one of the things, so I'm a metalhead, right? I wear black t-shirts, I listen to a lot of metal, and I listen to everything from death metal to groove metal. So people believe that, okay, this is how it is. But there's an actual study that shows the only two genres of music that bring about a sense of calm and bring about a lower, heart rate in humans is heavy metal and classical music. It's an actual study. And so I am a fan of both these. So I'm wearing a heavy metal t-shirt and I'm going to talk about classical music, right? And I want to talk about something which is very weird, is that a piece of classical music which is so heavy metal that the drums on it are not drums but are actual cannons. So this is 1812 Overture by Tchaikovsky, and it's a beautiful piece of music, and it was written by Tchaikovsky to celebrate, within quotes, the Russians defeating Napoleon's advancement on Russia. They didn't do shit. It was basically winter. The French had never seen winter. They had never seen Russian winter. They marched in, and then they were like, oh, it's cold, it's shivering. And the Russians were like, ha, we've just started. This is basically like summer in Bangalore. What? Summer is starting next week? What is last week then? So that it was
or 20 degrees in Chennai, which is winter.
24 degrees, people putting monkey hoodies in Chennai. So these guys were like, it's so cold, how do you do this? And then they finally reached Moscow, but the Russians had already burned Moscow to the ground by themselves. So the French didn't have any food or anything to steal to keep them. So they're like, you know what, screw it, let's go back to France. And they had up beating the retreat and they went back. And the Russians were like, yeah, we won. No, you didn't. You burnt your own city to the ground and just a cold scared them away. Russia was like, no, we won. We want a song about it. So 1812 Overture comes.
Wow, okay.
And then at the end, he wanted a huge ending. Like, sir, you can use cymbal, you can use drums, xylophone. No, I'm going to use cannons. 16 cannon blasts at the end of it. So I had to put that in as well. So random stuff like this, right? So that is the whole, the thing about storytelling is that you get the audience. So it's almost like a roller coaster ride. You talk about something that sounds very boring for a few seconds. And then it gets a little interesting. And then finally, what? That's what happened. And then there's a bit of a pause, a punchline. And then everybody just go back to threshold level. Then we talk about other things. And then I do some audience engagement. I like, hey, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? Then obviously one, but like, oh, I love the color green. I'm like, do you know what? That's the color that killed Napoleon. They're like, what are you saying? Then I tell the story about how he was killed because that is his favorite color. So stuff like that. And the whole storytelling is based on the fact that everybody has to get something out of it. It has to do with history or music or, pop culture, modern day civics, modern day democracy, things that have happened because there's one dude doing lots of stuff. And the next storytelling, which is what I'm doing right now, which is I'm writing for the next episode, is the same thing, right? And the next one is talks about how discoveries and the greatest things on the planet that we are not aware of need not necessarily come from people who go in search of it. If you keep your eyes open,
of course,
there are things in front of you that you don't realize are going to change your world. So that is the whole thing. And my job is to make people understand that this is, and I don't tell them, they come to that epiphany, that realization at the end of the talk. So,
and like for that topic specifically, and I mean, I can already think of 3-4 very popular examples, but are you also going to, from science, I can think of a couple of examples, but also are you going to look at things that, because again, you are a person with multiple frames of reference almost, are you going to take, say, accidental discoveries, say, from the world of music, for example, like how, I don't know, I don't want to like
the gated drums.
Yeah, or John Lennon discovering feedback, for example,
Okay.
like, or something like that. So, would this also? I mean, are you trying to get your various universes into this, or is it going to be?
This is like that, the Marvel major crossover when multiple universes come.
I think that's a great. I think that's a fantastic just reference, like way of thinking about your head, which is just like
I
the
love
greatest
crossovers.
Yeah.
I love crossovers. There have been times when I've been like in a Bugs Bunny cartoon, randomly Daffy Duck walks and I'm like, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Oh, like I love it when people take the time and effort who are part of different universes to do a collab and something comes up.
Stephen Pastis and Bill Watterson probably being the greatest of all very modern times.
Absolutely. Like right now, one person who's doing this on a huge scale is Rhys Darby, the New Zealand actor. He is the one who comes in Our Flag Means Death as the gentleman pirate. And he's also the band manager in Flight of the Conchords.
Okay.
Very funny guy, New Zealand actor. And if anybody follows him, in his real life, he's a cryptozoologist. He believes in the Loch Ness Monster. He believes in Yetis and Sasquatch. And he loves talking about these things. And any universe that he's part of, the pirate universe, or he's played a part in X-Files, or he's done voiceovers in Christmas animated movies as Elf and all, there is this small thing that randomly he'll say and go, and all us Rhys Darby fans will be like, oh my God, universe over for and I love that small bit, right? And in the real world itself, there is so many examples of that. It's just nice to bring it out and tell people about, look,
and I think people enjoy that. I think people enjoy when the unexpected
absolutely
sort of happens.
There are two things that people absolutely, anything to do, there are two things which I have realized is what gets people excited about. One is epiphany and next is nostalgia. Right?
And nostalgia.
So these are two things, if you hit it and that's going. So my talks and quizzes are based on this concept. So there'll be something that will spark some nostalgia, like, hey, I remember this. Sometime later, oh wow, is that so? Epiphany. And then if you hit these two, then you get enough of dopamine and serotonin releases so that you know that they'll have a good time.
So I have a question on this, right? So you talked about, as a scientist, you work in, let's say, artificial DNA, you spoke about, right? Then you talk as a science communicator.
Yeah.
Right? And the quizzing bit, which we just spoke with. So when you're writing for academia, right, it is also a sort of storytelling. It's just a very structured form of storytelling, working with certain constraints. When you're doing science communication, you have a little broader canvas, right? And when you're doing quizzing, you really have the entire canvas, right? So how do you reconcile these different ways of storytelling in your head, that for one, you have to stay true to a certain form, and the other, you can absolutely go batshit crazy if you feel like?
I'm going to be brutally honest over here and say I don't. And I've got into trouble for that. It's a true story. So I do write a lot of papers, in publish or perish types. So the first few papers were exactly like you said. Put in the proper, the discussion,
literature
review, bibliography, everything. But that's because I had two more bosses. I was a junior scientist and so on and so forth. Like my first 4 or 5 papers are absolute academic crap. Okay. I mean, the content is great, but the presentation is purely scientific. But now that I'm a senior scientist and that I'm one of only 12 people in the entire country who work with artificial DNA, I have a sense of, there are not too many people who can do what I do. And I have a sense of authority over there. So the last paper I wrote is about personalized medicine. Right? How about in the future that the fastest growing problem that we have right now are genetic problems, genetic disorders because of mutations in a single gene. And for example, diabetes has just exploded because of the number of mutations that are happening on the MODY gene, which is a maturity onset diabetes in young gene, so on and so forth. So in the future, in the not too distant future, it's going to be about genetic medicine where people analyze your DNA and then realize, this particular protein is your problem, is causing the issues that you have. We can then work on that. So the entire paper was about that. And the entire paper has 30 Pink Floyd track names hidden in it. Okay. Everywhere. Now, my students know about my love for Pink Floyd. And my mates know about it. And they loved it. It went for peer review. and it got passed immediately. They were like, oh, it's Berty Ashley's paper. He's very good. He gets his stats and all. They didn't do the check. They went for the normal check. He's not plagiarized anything. He's not anything. Go for it. And forget about plagiarizing. Nobody writes stuff like that. So they're like, oh, obviously.
Yeah, if they search plagiarize, they'll be like, okay, the match seems to be from Echoes, the best of Pink Floyd track list.
So they do only with other papers, right?
Yeah,
So
of course, yeah.
there's like only 15% match, and they're like, oh yeah, that's great. Usually it's about 60% or 70%.
Yeah, sure.
That's what in trouble. 15% is great. So they just go through it. And then somebody on LinkedIn put up the paper and say, oh my God, I'm missing paper by Berty. I discovered 27 Pink Floyd titles in it. And then the journal got back to me and said, you didn't disclose the fact that you have hidden data in it. I was like, hidden data? What hidden data in it? No, we saw the post on LinkedIn saying that you have 30 Pink Floyd titles in it. It's not scientific data. It's just titles. They're there. I just said the virus is another brick in the wall. What? It's a fact. It's a fact. I've told it. Scientists are comfortably numb to the idea of genetic counseling. Yeah.
You're like that weatherman guy, right? Who takes it.
Yeah. And so they were asking like, this is hidden data. I was like, no. It clearly says hidden data is scientific data. This is not scientific data. This is pop culture data. It's hidden because you are not aware of it. That doesn't mean it's very much in plain sight. Yeah. And I did get away with it. So it's still out there. Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic.
So that is definitely getting linked to show notes.
The show notes, exactly.
Is it open access by any chance?
I'll send it to you. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
Amazing. Do you think that you can, get away? You use the word get away because of your, I suppose seniority, authority.
Yeah.
But do you think once you have, this is a much broader question. Once you have mastery over something, right, properly, like say history, you know history properly, then you can afford to almost like play around with it almost. Yeah. I want to say I like how playful you are.
The government of India, right?
Like, wow, okay, okay.
Cool channel is getting cancelled.
True fact, I was part of the NCERT till 2 years back. Okay, I was responsible for the biology section of the textbook for the CBSE. Remember the twice I was in Delhi when I met Advait and all? That was because I was part of the NCERT. I couldn't tell it out because at that time I was part of the government. Yeah. Now I can because we did a walkout. We staged a walkout saying you can't do stuff like this. You can't rewrite. It was not history. They were rewriting science. They asked to take out the periodic table. I said, no. You can't not have a...
or at least replace it with something.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot not have a periodic table. There's like no... I was like,
wait, isn't that like building blocks? Why would you remove the periodic table?
Yeah. So there's a whole group of us who staged a walkout saying, no, we don't want to be a part of this.
Amazing. Anyway,
edit point.
Edit point. No, the question I was asking was, it almost feels like once you master something, you can afford to be very playful with it, almost, right? And the best science creators I know, or at least let me put it this way, the most entertaining science creators I know are either deeply passionate or deeply knowledgeable, or in many times both. Like Randall Munro, for example. Absolutely. He cannot make those comics without being deeply knowledgeable about physics and pretty much everything else. A cappella science is another great example of
you can go a little further. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because of he's a meme by himself purely because of the fact that he's got so much machine. He's able to break it down to a point that everybody understands. Yeah. Talking about memes, the man who came up with the word meme, Richard Dawkins, is an evolutionary biologist, right? Yeah. And we think of what a meme is purely because of his invention of the concept of meme, right? And he also in science, he is. For me, he's somebody who I look up to, but a lot of people he's taken the seriousness out of science. My thing is, no, it's not supposed to be like that. You need not be serious about science. Isaac Newton was very serious about science, and we know for a fact Isaac Newton is the only person in history we know who died as a virgin. Like on record, we know this. It's a true fact.
Fair. I didn't expect you to go there, but then the question I wanted to ask was not about science as much, but it feels like in many spheres of life, professional spheres of life, it feels like after you've attained mastery over something, it's almost like talking about it has to be in a very anodyne LinkedIn kind of way, right? Yeah. And I'm not just talking about science, I'm even talking about like all the other professions out there. And weirdly enough, the few people take whichever space who actually like go viral, if I may, are people who actually do speak their mind, who are kind of like the Richard Dawkins or the a cappella science guy of marketing, of finance or whatever.
yeah.
Like, I don't have a question over here.
Veritas CM, the YouTube.
Huge YouTuber and very well.
Yeah, physics.
Veritas CM?
Oh, Veritasism. Yeah, of course. Yes. So, no, I mean, I don't have a question over there. It's just an observation. When you were saying this with respect to science, I was just looking at it the other way, thinking about it. It almost feels like, you go up in your career, you master your art, and then you can only be serious. Not even art, right? You master your, whatever it is you're studying or practicing, and then you have to be completely serious about it.
Let me bring a different angle to this.
Well, by the way, that's not a view that I subscribe to.
No, you're right. But here's the thing: what differentiates, I think, those people you've all talked about, and I consider myself as one of those, is there are two things that somebody who's, like you said, mastered or come to a point of where you're good at this. There are two things they can do. One is be happy with who they are, and content with who they are, and they are sitting. The other tape are people like me who want to share it and who want to encourage more people to get into what they want.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's where it comes. Like, if you're happy with where you have reached, and you do not, it doesn't matter whether other people reach that level or something. If somebody says, "Can you explain what you do?" I'm like, "See, you're not gonna like." I can very happily say, if you ask me, if somebody comes up to me and says, "Okay, your LinkedIn profile says you work with antisense oligonucleotides. Can you explain?" I'm like, "Listen, it took me 4 years of masters. It's very hard science. I can't explain. Just Google it." That's one way of going about it, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
There are times when you don't want
you make
a choice. But if the same person comes up to me and asks, "Okay," excellent, come, sit. Okay, and I'll be like, "Okay, this is DNA, this is RNA, this is sense, this is antisense, this is what it is, this is the facts of life." Talk about all of this, and there's this joy of, okay, I am taking somebody on a journey, and I hope to motivate them, encourage them, and if I may use the word, inspire them to know more about something they don't know.
Yeah.
And everybody you talked about right now, they take it up themselves to do it. They might, I am super privileged to say that I have been able to monetize this, and I have first of all, the energy to do this, thanks to all the filter coffee that I'm taking. And third is that I have people around me who are okay with me doing these things, who support me in doing these things. There have been times when my mom and dad struggled to explain what I do, right? They were happy.
As we started with this conversation, I struggled to explain what you do.
He's a scientist. Ashte, that was going on well. So I'm like, "Scientist, he's running a platform for original musicians. He's original dog. So why are you insulting your son?" "No, that's the name of the platform." Okay, that's happened.
Yeah.
Right. And then they'll be like, "Wait, but isn't your son an author?" He's like, "Yeah, that too." "Oh, he's writing about music." "No, he's writing about science." "No, he's not." "What is he writing?" "He's writing quiz books." "What are you talking about?" So that's the thing, right? In India, it's like, jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
If you do more than two things, then he probably can't hold on.
Not serious in life.
Not serious.
Yeah, not serious.
Yeah.
Why is that a bad thing? Why so serious is a bad thing, right? I mean, the bad guy says it in the movie.
Yeah.
So why?
The question is still valid.
Very valid, yeah.
So my point is, I don't take things seriously. I have a very Monty Python look on life right now. I mean, it's always been the same way. But the point is, I've learned so much because of that.
Yeah.
And I would love, like in music it's different.
Yeah.
In science is different. Whatever it is, if somebody wants to know something, I'm happy. Like one of the things that I've been talking to Chuck about is this YouTube channel which I run, which is purely in Tamil. Okay. There's another friend of mine called Vijay and we talk about the most random things. And we used to sit at home on phone and talk. Things like Robert Johnson and his deal with the devil for becoming a blues guitarist. Then we'll have fights as to why Bob Dylan should not be considered a singer, but is actually a mumble rap artist. Okay, stuff like this. Then one of our friends was like, "Listen, whatever you guys are talking sounds interesting to us.
Just put a camera.
Do it on front of a camera." So we did it. And now we have a YouTube channel that's got like 50,000 subscribers. And one of our videos just touched 1 lakh views in like a month or so. The last one was about Dave Matthews Band in Tamil.
In Tamil.
Wow.
Randomly.
That's a niche I didn't know existed.
Oh, random trivia for you. Dave Matthews Band has a Tamil song. First song of the album Before These Crowded Streets is a Tamil song.
Wow.
So, Anyway, so stuff like this, right? It's just that we love sharing information. We love doing that. And if somebody else is able to learn from it and take it further, we are happy. But I also have friends, my own colleagues in the lab, who are fine with forget 5 o'clock. You come out of the lab, I don't want to talk about science. That's it. I do this, I get paid for this, I am good, I'm done for. I mean, I don't see what's wrong with their sense of life. They have more time to do things and they have more savings in the bank, while I don't. Right? But that's different. It's how I find my contentment with the fact that I do different types of content.
No, I think that's a great point you're making, because one of the things I have strongly felt is that as a generation of Indians who came of age in the 90s, 2000s, right? Because a lot of us came out of our parents' idea of one job for the rest of the life and a single track life.
Absolutely.
But we also made that job a part of our identity as a very, very strong part of our identity.
Yes.
And the moment anyone tries to break away from that, people are like, what exactly is this guy doing? But the more we look at data now, and there is data to suggest that people who do not have, interests / passions / hobbies outside of work often struggle in the long run, because work by the nature of it goes up and down, and sort of it pulls you down yourself with it, right? So I think the fact that you draw that boundary and say that this is my life as a creator of science, this is my life as a creator of science for the larger public, and this is my life as a creator of curiosity for an even larger public.
Absolutely. Non-scientific people who I want to get curious insights.
Yeah.
There are so many people who have been like, oh, I'm an economics. I did get Instagram handles like who say, oh, I'm a economics major, but this thing you told me about mutation was interesting. Can you tell me more? And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I want. Very interestingly, long time back, a good friend of mine and I were just catching up, and then she introduced me to her dad and said, hey, remember Berty, this is him. And her dad, very much proper Madurai guy from Madurai, grew up in Madurai. He's like, yeah, I know, I've been talking to his mom and dad. Every time they tell me a different thing, he's doing different thing and all. But he should do something. No, you should do something that you can say, this is what I did. Okay, so find something like that. You're good at that music thing, then do music. Okay, and then he went off. Very interestingly, one of the people that he admires is a gentleman called Professor Vijay Chandru. And Professor Vijay Chandru was one of the, to Dr. Manmohan Singh, he was a principal advisor for science. And he still is one of the greatest industrialists and scientists in the country. He was the one who invented something called the Simputer, if you remember.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the one who invented the Simputer.
Along with Vinay.
You're getting it right. I forgot the full name, but that is
Vinay.
So that's Professor Vijay Chandru, right? And then he got into biology, and he invented. He was part of a team that's working on genomics and stuff. And that's when he ran into me, and I didn't know who he was. This is Vijay, and we got along. And one day I happened to overhear his ringtone. It was a Floyd track. I was like, hey, dude has got good music taste. So we started talking about music. Then I realized he also loves Monty Python. And then we just started talking. Then he got me invested in different things. I did a quiz for his company. Then he got to know me as me. And then randomly, which this is the first time it's ever happened for me, he gave me a review. What are the things on LinkedIn at the bottom?
Recommendations.
I didn't know it existed, for the way. One day I get recommendation from Vijay Chandru, accept it. I was like, oh, maybe he's recommending a TV channel for me or something. Wow. I'm not a big LinkedIn user at that point.
You're not missing much in life. And
now I am.
There goes chances of being sponsored by LinkedIn ever, but okay, never mind.
There you go. So then I accepted, and the first line was, Berty Ashley is a Renaissance man. Oh. And I was like, what? And for me, that was a huge thing. And it did till today, and it's still there on my LinkedIn profile. And every time I feel like down or something, and it's not, I go back to that recommendation, I look at it and like, this guy who's from Harvard, he's a Harvard prof, is just, the first line is Berty Ashley is a Renaissance man. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's my thing. And then I sent a screenshot to that girl and said, show it to your dad.
One thing about you and all the other creators that we were speaking about a while back, I think it's, part of it is about wanting to share and instigating that love for science or whatever. But I feel also it's at some level a deep appreciation for the, it's kind of like the form by itself, like the science by itself, and like, look at this beautiful thing. Don't look at me. Look at the thing that is over there. I think it's drawing less attention to yourself rather than the thing that you're pointing towards, if that makes any sense at all. It feels like that, right? I mean, it feels like you're. I'm struggling to put this in words, but it's almost like you want to shine a light on these facts, or.
Okay, so let me put it this way.
Okay.
So there are two types of teaching which is followed for centuries. One is rote teaching, which is what India does very, very well.
Yeah.
Say it again and again and again. You do realize
Rote,
what it
kapada
is,
and makan
and and then you do very well in the exam, and then you forget about it.
Yeah.
The other one is epiphany teaching. So which is what I follow. Epiphany teaching is when you lead the student or lead the person
And let them
towards
figure
it, and they figure it out. And just like this lamp goes on, ping, and they'll never forget
They'll
it.
never forget it. Yeah.
They'll absolutely never forget it for the rest of their life. And epiphany teaching also has a weird byproduct of them wanting to share it with somebody else.
Share it with somebody, yeah.
And just like a meme, so a good meme, you laugh at it, and the next thing you do is forward it.
Yeah.
Right?
Or try to make your own version or whatever.
Yes, which is also mutation, right?
Yeah.
If a meme is is basically a platform for mutation. Either you can mutate it or you can send it forward. If it's a really bad meme, you're going to delete it, right? And you always forward the meme to you always forward the meme to certain people, and those people are like a rhizome. Or the different communities. Like if I get a music meme, I know which group it's going to.
Send it to.
Yeah.
If I get a science meme, I know where it's going. If I get a Monty Python meme, there are like 4 people I know I can send it to. Then there'll be this weird meme that'll bring Monty Python and music together. I'm like, okay, now let's find out who are the few people in the world in that Venn diagram who'll understand this, right? And you get that sense of joy when somebody puts a heart on it or clicks on it and comes back saying, dude, that was hilarious, right? So my point is, we share information on a daily basis. We share tons of gigabytes of information on a daily basis. Most of it is absolutely useless, like good morning messages from my mom and dad, right? Which take up half the mobile phone. But when you have the power to share information, then I think it should be something that makes another person's life better, right? It could be information that gives them more knowledge or gives them a small instigation to go and take a journey of their own. I think it's really cool. Like, I watch this guy climb up Tekadis every day, like him growing up. The last time I was almost tempted to join him. Then he made the mistake of saying, we are going for breakfast after that. I was like, okay, I'll join you for breakfast then, instead of climbing up a hill. But it still is inspiring, right? It's a small thing. And that is great content by itself. But it's not, I don't think of it as content meant.
Sure.
You are content to post that content, right? Yeah. But does it matter to you that other people take up cycling or other people go up the hill?
I mean, not necessarily, but I know that it has happened. Yeah, and I won't lie, it is gratifying. It is gratifying when people say, okay, I've done this or this or this because either you spoke about it or I've been inspired by your journey or whatever the case may be. But yeah, like absolutely the same, like exactly everything that you said about science. So yeah, absolutely.
And also the fact that a lot of people are discovering about geography of Pune through
yeah, sure.
How many people knew there are so many hills around Pune, that there are greenery around Pune. Everybody knows, oh, Vaishali and a couple of other girls' names were all vegetarian restaurants.
Wow.
Oh, Rupali. I love this. Go to some random guy, like, you like Vaishali or Rupali? They're like, why are you asking about this guy's preference? No, there are 2 restaurants in Pune. Oh, like that. Yeah, but it absolutely, it doesn't matter as long as that content brings out some reaction which another person is positive. Right? So you have positive and negative influences. Right?
Yeah.
I think if you have the opportunity, do the positive. That's the thing.
No, that resonates with me so much because I talk about slow travel and slowing down as a philosophy in my podcast, and I'm glad that I'm able to influence him and my immediate set of people that who has taken a slightly different approach to travel and saying that there's no point rushing through places in life.
Absolutely.
Chill out, absorb as much as you can, and then move on to the next time and take your time with it. So
I Exactly. We've had a talk about this as well.
We've had, I think that philosophy has been shared with the two of you the most. And now it's a good time as any to kind of reconcile all of that. We have deviated, by the way, greatly from script. So might as well.
That is your problem. You didn't share the script. I didn't know the script. How am I supposed to deviate?
That's a problem.
I think that's your problem. Why is my problem?
No, so actually, this is a great forum to do this. So around that same time when he was telling me about slowing down with respect to travel, was the same time. And I always draw parallels between music and travel, right? Which is instead of rushing through, say, an entire playlist, why not just focus on 3 or 4 songs and try to get deeper into those and all that sort of thing, right? The same philosophy for travel to me now applies for music, to the point where, as you know, I have a ritual now on Sunday, just block myself out, no internet, set up a few songs. And weirdly, that the shorter playlist has got me deeper into music and the artist, rather than, like an entire playlist and stuff like that. So, as somebody who resonates with the philosophy at large, would love to know, what are your music rituals?
It's a very neat segue into that thing which I told you about, is about my love for vinyl. When you have a vinyl, there's no skip button. There's no forward. There's no reverse. Put the plate on and you are immersed in it. And if you're on Spotify, what you're doing with your phone, because you switched it on, you're going to be going through Twitter But when you have a LP, you have the gatefold sleeve in your hand. So your hand is not free to do anything else. So you're looking at the lyrics. You're looking at what you're doing. So you're more immersed and it's tactile. And that is how my music is most of the time. Right? So my music taste varies extremely. There are days when it's pure black metal and death metal. And there are days it's all Hindustani. Then there are days which is Ilayaraja. The last few days have been completely EDM. So I am in love with these 3 producers called Lane 8, Sultan and Shepherd, and Shingo Nakamura. So they do emotional house, trance. And I love that EDM.
Emotional house sounds like a lot of what happens in a family after you tell them that you don't want to pursue engineering.
Emotional house is the 3rd and 4th season of Doctor House.
Yes.
After he finds out his best friend has cancer.
See, that's the thing with Berty. You cannot outpunch him. If you think you have a pun, he has a layer on top. But anyway, go on. Yeah.
I am a punny fellow, which you can't say in Tamil, which is very bad.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Leave that chortle in, please.
No, so the point is, my music taste varies. So when it's emotional house and trance, that is something I can work over.
Sure.
Like when I have a video game sound, like for example, if you have Skyrim soundtrack running at the back, it's meant for you to be focused on work. Or sometimes the same. If I want to cool down at the end of the day, then there's this lovely Apple game called Monument Valley. It's a lovely 3D stereo video game which is beautiful, and the soundtrack is just fantastic. So I do the playthrough on the TV, sit up the volume, and you just relax. And it just allows you to just unwind and calm and stuff like that. Then there are days when I got to get going. Let's put in Devin Townsend, or let's put in Cryptos, for example, which is a very nice band, by the way. Have you heard of them?
Wow. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So and by the way, so when I play Cryptos, I don't play it on Spotify. That's the reason they don't get my name on the list. Sure. Because I have the CD. Right. So when I put on the CD, then I have to listen to every single song throughout. Right. And I know what song comes next and I'm ready, and it goes on and on. And the same thing to do with music is sometimes, let's say I'm listening to Shadows or Ventures, I take my guitar and I play along. So that's a different experience.
Sure.
Like I'm trying to play along and I'm trying to figure out what the chords are, which I can't do with Ilayaraja, because that guy just decides to put some random chord which does not exist in music literature, and he just, now you play this. Right? So I can't do that. Then there is this really weird thing which we discussed on a podcast. There were lots of people like, I put Ilayaraja and go to sleep. My other podcast friend Vijay, he says that I put on Ilayaraja and go to sleep. I said I can't.
You can't, yeah.
I can't, because my brain is like, how do you go from minor 7th to a major 6th over there? And he's like, why are you thinking? I'm like, I can't. I cannot stop but think. Like, why
you read music in your head like that?
Yeah, exactly. And like, why is there a bassoon solo in the middle of a reggae piece? Like random stuff like that. So my go-to songs, which is why I love EDM, right? It doesn't surprise you.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
it's 4 chords. It just lifts. It goes goes and down. There's layers added. Surprise comes not in the musicality but in the tonality, and I'm happy with the tonal surprises. So that gives me a sense of calm and steadiness. Then there's prog like Dream Theater and Opeth, Devin Townsend, which makes me go like, whoa, what is this stuff they're doing? So that is where, and then obviously there's Hindustani and Carnatic and ghazals, and also my love for BTS.
So your well-documented love for BTS and Taylor Swift,
Which is getting a lot of hate. I don't know why. Love Yourself is such a great album.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I just don't get the whole point of people hating on Taylor Swift. You don't like it, don't listen to it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
She's doing what she's doing. Millions of people love her. I don't see the problem at all.
I'm a 1989 album fan, but yesterday I listened to the entire Reputation tour. By the way, the album Reputation is a pop album. The live album of Reputation is a rock album.
Really?
It's brilliant. The drummer that day, whatever, on the recording day, something got into him. He thought he was John Bonham. It's brilliant. Just listen to it.
So one question here, and this is going to tie in various parts of the conversation. So you just ended with prog, right? Prog, famously long. But also I would like to think, apart from lyrics, right? I'm not talking about lyrics over here, but the rock music format that has the maximum amount of, in a sense, musical storytelling, right? There's a certain ebb and flow to the entire thing. And well done prog, at least I feel. The heaviness has a reason rather than just showing, see how loud I can be, right? And the best of best prog might, like say a Dream Theater or BT Bam for me, might be callbacks, where everything ties together, not just elements from the song or the album, but in this case of Colors too, referencing Colors 1 and tying everything together beautifully. And this again is something that comes out, you have probably experiences when you slow travel, right? You notice a theme over here and then 2 days later you're like, oh wow, that same kind of architecture is over here. The same thing with respect to music.
I did this recently on my trip to Sri Lanka.
Yeah, like you have like a small piano piece that acts as an intro and then comes in as an interlude over here, but also references it also, and it blows your mind when you connect these dots yourself.
Motifs.
Because there's nobody telling you, hey, see how clever we were to join these things. You've kind of figured this out yourself. I'm going through this labored analogy to ask, is this something that this musical storytelling is this something that has influenced the way, say, you run a quiz or something? Like, for example, a callback or referencing or something like that. And has it been inspired by your love for music or any other form of literature? So basically what I'm asking, has the form of, I understand the content of comics or content or say cartoons or whatever inspiring something else, has the form inspired something else?
Absolutely, but not consciously.
Okay.
I would say it is a parallel evolution. It's just that it is something that I have come to understand is a beautiful way of tying things together and coming to a point of synergy between all of these different things. I was just saying, we had taken a trip to Colombo and we went to a place to stay, an Airbnb. And for some reason, the architecture and the design, the open air design, the way the water spout was given, this reminds me of my school back when I was a kid, which was in Madurai. Right. The obvious thing is going to be, just because you're Tamil and this place has Tamil places, it's like that. No, later on found out that this architect is a guy called Jeffrey Bawa, and he had built this place. And the same dude had built the Madurai club where my school was.
Wow.
And I was, so it was a callback inside my head, and I could just trust it and I knew it happened. And this has happened too many times in my life for me to put it as coincidence or something. For example, one of my favorite bands of all time is an electronic band called, for some reason, the most ungoogleable band ever. They're called Electronic.
Sure. Okay.
That's it.
How do you Google a band called electronic music? Okay, take
like, this is the day when this is the day when SEO did not exist. So let's give them that.
So Electronic is a super group which is formed by the members of New Order, Joy Division, and Pet Shop Boys.
They are all of which famously electronic bands.
Yeah, thankfully. And then I got this cassette long time back when I was a kid, listened to a couple of songs, loved it, cassette went off, never found them again. Many years later, was watching a Neil Tennant performance, and while he was singing a song, for some reason he decided to do a callback to a small part he sings from his electronic days.
Oh, nice.
And he does that, and after 15 years or something, that when he sings that line, it hit me in my head. That's for my favorite band, electronic. Then I'm like, oh my God, now I remember that band. And now because he did that, I went into the comment section, discovered the band, and now I have all their music, and I listened to them. If he hadn't done that callback, I would have got it. The historically speaking has 4 callbacks in it.
Nice.
But in this particular case, it came from the form, but not from the form of history speech.
Sure.
It comes from the stand-up comedy gig.
Got it.
So I'm a big fan of Eddie Izzard or Susie Izzard.
Yeah, sure, because they keep...
Yeah, so callbacks are very important in a stand-up comedy routine. And it should come at a time where you do not expect it.
Yeah.
It comes out of nowhere and hits you.
And it has to change the emotion as well, right?
Exactly.
It goes from a deep part to sort of like that. It releases the tension almost.
Absolutely. Exactly. So you land, as in music, you have to land at 0 and you have to release a tension and you have to bring a call back. So historically speaking was an excellent example of that. It borrowed from 2 of the greatest callback people I know now that I can use that word in their fields. Eddie Izzard from stand-up comedy, especially his set called Full Circle, which he did in San Francisco. And the callback in that is just mind-blowingly beautiful. And my favorite prog writer of all time, Neil Morse. So when Neil Morse writes songs, there are, like you said, the theme is so beautiful. And at the end of the 8th, beautiful crescendo where the story is finishing and the protagonist has come to a point where he's getting closure. You are in some other scale and he sings a note and then the harmonizes it. And the harmony goes into the scale from the first motive and they land on the first 10 notes which make up the theme of the overture from the album. And then I get goosebumps just talking about it.
Wow.
Because it's so beautiful. Right? You're back where you started. And not because they're taking you there by the story, but because of all the other elements that bring it.
Around it,
And Eddie does that in comedy. Neil does that in music. And I wanted to pay respect and tribute to them. And that's what we did here as well. And I hope to do the same thing with my other episodes. I don't know if it will be as good as how it was with this one, but I hope to be. And yeah, so the whole thing is basically the concept of, when you take a vinyl record, you start at the outer end, right? And it goes all the way in. A good player, you can put it on loop. It'll go up and then come back to the first note.
First note again.
And musicians knew that would happen. So they would write it in such a way that could. And Roger Waters did that with the wall.
With the wall, yeah.
This
is where we came in.
This is where we came in. So when the loop finishes. Then it goes, isn't this where we came in? So
this is where we came in.
And
that way. So what I really liked about this entire story when you were telling me, right? Because in the initial bit you said there are 2 things which make for a great story: epiphany and nostalgia.
Yeah.
Right. And this story which you just had both for yourself.
Yes.
Right. And it's almost like what is giving me joy, I want to share that same sense of joy with the world, which is why I do the quizzing I do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And at the end of the day, right, you're only going to remember the stories that you made.
Yeah.
I have this thing, I've lost a lot of people to Alzheimer's, in the family. And the worst part is that they lose their memories, right? And all these people they are old, obviously, are the ones who had lots of stories. And as a kid, you grew up listening to these stories and they had so many stories. And then afterwards, you go like, Uncle, can you tell the story? This boy wants to know, what story? No, I don't remember, Pa. And for me, that hope dies because I realize that their life was their memories. If they don't have that memory, they don't have the stories, then what is life? Right? So I am just happy making these memories for other people. And I just hope as long as I can remember for myself, I just want to keep making memories for other people.
Wow, that's beautiful. Didn't expect it to go there, but that is
and in fact,
beautiful.
if you think of it, we are actually stories we tell to other people and the stories we tell to ourselves about ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. You're the hero of your own story.
You're the own hero. So we construct our identities in the stories we tell ourselves, saying that I am this. And then in some ways you become that person just to fulfill the story you have told yourself.
Very interestingly, you're the hero of your own story. That is Batman telling Dr. Gordon, Barbara Gordon in the other series, which is brilliant. I love that. The fact that she's looking up to Batman and saying, you're the knight, you're the one. And he's like, no, you're the hero of your own story. And that spins off into the Barbara Gordon stories.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's so much you have all touched upon. like
You need to look at notes?
No. I'm fine. I haven't asked half the questions that I want to. I mean, it's completely fine.
You don't have asked anything beyond the first question.
So,
If you ask me,
it's fine. No, we will get there eventually. No, but you are one person who epitomizes, I think, just the sheer joy of creation. I feel, right, and I think that's the first thing that we tell folks who sign up for this. In fact, we tell them, if you're coming here to make a fortune or think that you're going to become a whatever, get a silver plaque from YouTube in the next 2 months, like, don't sign up for this. I think you've always been a person, at least to me, who epitomizes just the sheer joy of creation, like, to the point where, very frustratingly, I find that you are very bad at self-promotion to a point. And it speaks that, I mean, in some way, it's like those artists from the 70s and 80s who didn't care too much for promotion, and they just said, the material will work on its own. If it doesn't, I don't give a shit. Right? Am I over romanticizing, or do you actually sit and, like, worry about whether people?
No, I don't. I like the fact that you're calling it romanticizing. Where it's not. It's like I told you, I'm glad I have a system of support who are like, okay, this guy is doing something weird, let him do it. For example, next Saturday. LP. I mean, by the time this goes out, I'm sure that will be steeped in Bangalore internet folklore. So. But tell people well, the show is sold out. I still don't know what I'm going to do.
That's a great title for Berty's life. The show is sold out, but I don't know what I'm going to do. So, but yeah, tell people.
So I pitched a show called Berty's
to the same poor people from
Underline Center.
Like, the promo for the first one was Berty pitching the idea. It's like it's a silent, and both of them are just clutching their head, and this is no different.
The Underline Center, which was gave me the blank space to do it. I told them I want to do a game show, which is not a quiz, where we make people do silly things so that we can laugh at them. And we're calling it Berty's Every Flavor Games, because obviously the Harry Potter Berty bots every flavor.
Wow.
Oh, you didn't get that?
I didn't get that. No, I didn't get that. So that's what, there are multiple layers to everything that he does. So
he said, okay, go on. So now they sold tickets where people have said, yes, we want to do these weird things which Berty asked us to do, and I haven't come up with what I'm going to ask them to do, which I have a week now to do.
Okay, so let me put you on the spot over here, and I'm not going to ask you to reveal what you're going to do or ask you to come up with ideas, but why do you think people do that? Like, why do you think, let's face it, right? There is, whether you like it or not, there's a brand associated with you now, which could be weirdness, which could be fun, which could be, I'm going to learn something, I'm going to love, there's going to be a bit of music, whatever the case may be, right? Like inadvertently, in a weird kind of way, an anti-brand almost has kind of been built. I want to ask you, like, what do you feel about that? Like, how genuinely, what did you feel when this show, which in your own admission, you have not put anything together, has got sold out?
Well, I think it's because people realize that if I do something, it's going to be wacky, it's going to be weird, and it's going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay. In this particular instance, the thing that we're going to do is going to rely heavily on the culture that started by a couple of TV shows, British TV shows like Taskmaster, Richard Houseman's House of Games. And, these panel shows where there's a lot of comedy and there's a lot of entertainment.
So a lot of physical humor.
Yeah, exactly. And in this particular instance, what we are planning to do is to have them as teams and try to figure out how we can break them down. That is literally it. And people are just signing up saying, let's see what he can do to us.
Let's see what he can do to us.
Yeah.
It's an interesting brand that you have kind of built for yourself. But all the best for that. And, I'm sure this is not going to be the last thing to come out from Berty Laboratories Incorporated. I think, okay, so let me actually get back to the set of questions that I actually had prepared for you. You actually came to Bangalore. You don't stay in the city, of course. Like me, you choose to stay in the cooler suburb city. You came for, I believe, a talk on science communication.
Today.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, it's a broad question, and I genuinely can't think of a better person than you to talk about science communication at large. And everything that we have spoken about so far just speaks about how much potential there is for something like something like this. But what gets you excited about or let me put it this way: what did you speak to them about? If you are at liberty to reveal that,
absolutely.
You don't need to say the organization or anything like that.
Okay,
But
so I am very excited about getting young people involved in research. That's the thing. And young people, and even further, women in science. Okay, so I have this, another rant is that women have not been given credit for all the great things they did in science. Everybody from Ada Lovelace to Rosalind Franklin, all these amazing women who our present lives function thanks to them, are not given credit. So, and now there are lots more women who do not know about these people. And I believe that just talking about the stories will inspire young women to take up research in science. That's one. Second is young kids when they are in class 9 or 10. If we get them interested in science and sustainability and eco-awareness, they are going to come up. Like basically, the reason that a small part of me, the reason why I'm in sustainability is because of Captain Planet. Right, Captain Planet, he's a hero. Do you know that Jeff Goldblum was also a villain in the series?
really, wow.
Yep. Random fact for you. So we don't have a Captain Planet now.
Yeah.
We have some stupid Krish character running around.
Oh, so wow. Just bleep that out.
No,
I think it's like, I don't know whom, there is definitely a cohort of people who are going to get offended by that, but yeah, let's leave it at that. It's
So yeah,
the
so
Bonvita mascot.
my point is we need something to inspire people, and there's so many interesting things around.
Yeah.
Like we are still discovering new species, we are still discovering new parts of the planet that we are not aware of. We are discovering new communities. But we are destroying the earth at a much faster rate than we are discovering things, right? And it's the next generation that it's their duty, I would suggest, that we have to bring it back to, we can't bring it back to the original, but at least stop this.
Yeah.
And I would like to be part of the group of people who are inspiring.
Who inspires. And
those-
that's amazing. Like, what are some, I want science stories that have been told well, in your opinion? Like, I know that's a very clunky statement, but having come from the sinful world of advertising and marketing, like there are so many examples, right? Like of how the Torches of Freedom campaign encouraged women to start smoking, and how Colgate made a ritual out of all those kind of things. Those interesting psychological ways in which we have changed our rituals and stuff like that. The question I have for you from us, as a science communicator, is through history, what have been some examples of science or science stories that have been presented well and told well?
I can give you one.
Yeah.
And this is factual.
Yeah.
And comes from the world of entertainment.
Okay.
So this is called the Dana Scully effect.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So Dana Scully is a character played by Gillian Anderson in the X-Files. Started out in the 90s by Chris Carter. And till then, women were seen as the bimbo who was running around and is the guy, is a person who stops the love interest of the protagonist.
Eye candy in many ways.
Absolutely. No, Gillian Anderson is absolutely great as an eye candy person. She is very pretty. She knows what, but no, that's not what she was. So she was a scientist and a doctor whose job was to scientifically disprove everything that the protagonist Fox Mulder says. Right? There is no... there is later on some romance, but there is no love interest. It's pure science all around, always. After the X-Files, the number of women who took up STEM increased by 40%.
That's amazing.
And in a study, more than that, it's the second part of the study which followed up, which asked the families of those girls. And every family which watched the X-Files together, the father, the mother, the parents said, we are okay with our daughter taking up STEM because we watched the X-Files. And it's an actual study. I can give you for the show notes. I'll give you the study for this. It's called the Dana Scully.
What's amazing is you started this off singing Captain Planet, and now we're talking about X-Files, and now I'm thinking like other random things like,
Nostalgia.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not about nostalgia. Like I'm like thinking of random other examples, like how, Popeye was responsible for the spike in sales of spinach
But
in the US.
Popeye is because of a typo.
Oh, but no, the point I'm trying to make is, see, we went back to stories, right? So maybe in some ways, the answer to all of this is actually, if you're going to get kids excited, you have to weave it through storytelling in the most traditional format, or say in comics or whatever. Like
no, so so this is what whenever somebody asks me, what do you do? And if you can put it in one word, I say edutainment.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Yeah.
Education through entertainment. That's it. That's all I say. Use pop culture, use comedy, use whatever you want. But if you get the right information across and you get people to understand what you're talking about, go for it. Absolutely go for it.
I have two final questions.
Rapid fire.
No, they're not rapid fire. They're anything but.
Do a buzz.
They're anything but rapid fire. No, I say that so that we can give you a sense of when we plan to let you go.
This is
and also, like, yeah, that'll be it. No, so I want to start with one which, okay, so this is kind of like to tie in your the quizzes and the taskmasterish stuff that you're doing and hysterically yours. So I will get it. I will speak. I'll get it. No, I'll get it right at one point of time. Which is to say the power of the physical, almost, right?
Yes.
Both you and I are big fans of live events and live gigs. In fact, the first time we met, of course, famously was at the Hacken concert in Hacken. Oh, wow. Okay. We never decided on that. It was a concert and we had so many memories and we've swapped so many stories as well of in this hyper digital age, so here's one thing, right? Like, I think you're a person who in many ways has built a personality online, but it manifests and spikes, if I may, offline.
Absolutely.
The power of doing, and so when you said this event that you're doing, I jokingly asked, is it going to be live streamed? And then somebody from the center actually said, we are trying. I'm actually hoping that it doesn't. I don't want this to travel on the internet. I want this to be something that remains something that
physical.
And like, sure, clips might go and like, oh, look at this amazing fact that Berty did or whatever. But I want this to be like I mean, at least that's, it's not like I'm a manager or something like that, but this works as a, we were discussing about plays versus movies, right? Earlier in the day. Just want your thoughts on that. The power of the physical and physical getting together entertainment in a day and age where, the accessing via digital is so simple, easy, and in many times almost default. And it might go back to your Spotify versus vinyl. I'm just saying there might be some parallels over there.
No, this I've actually sat down and thought about it because I was in a predicament a couple of years ago when I was called to do a TEDx talk.
Oh, okay.
And they said, your TEDx talk, you can obviously decide. And so I had the weird situation where I was like, hi, I'm really sorry. You asked me to do a TEDx talk. Is this about my science, about my music, or my quizzing?
They're
like, oh, you do all those also, but we want you for the quizzing. I was like, okay, fine. Now, the thing about this is, I don't know, but that particular day, there were about 8 of us who gave a TEDx talk. And what set mine apart, which later on a lot of people gave me really good feedback about, is the fact that mine was the only one that was interactive. Now, the thing about every single thing that I do is I engage the audience. If it's a quiz or if it's an event, historically speaking, through the entire process, there were quizzes in the middle. There were jokes where the audience deliver the punchline. There were puns that I built up and the pun was staring them in the face, and there were twice when the audience were like, no, you're not going to make us say it, and I was like, you have to say it. And they deliver the pun, and the rest of the people are like, then there was one bit in the segment where I like literally on the PPT it comes up, 10-second break while you explain the pun to your neighbor, and as soon as they come up, they're like, so this is the joke, and we explain the joke to the other person. I'm standing on stage going, yeah, that's what happened. So that bit, that interactive, engaging bit is what makes it really work for live. And for me, I have a lot of, on stage energy, I would say, where I like to riff off something at that moment. This obviously comes from the music, like, the audience is getting, you increase the tempo when the audience are dancing, you bring on an encore, you play the chorus again because the audience are clapping. And I do the same thing here. Like I go with the energy of the audience. If they get excited, do it. I have put random audience rounds in a quiz when I know that the audience are engaged and they're up for it. And the organizer like, sir, but we don't have prizes for the audience. I'm like, no. The prize is the fact that they get to answer a question sitting there and they're having fun. And it works. It's very tough to sell it to somebody saying, I'm going to do a quiz where the questions are in the audience. I'm going to run to the audience. And they're like, sir, we don't have prizes. You have to run up and down. It'll take another half an hour. But then the after effect is, because in a quiz, there are 6 teams on stage. There are 200 people off stage. Only those 6 teams are getting all the focus and spotlight. What are the 600 people getting while you're down there? And I feel bad about that. So I make it in such a fact that the people down there feel better. Saying, oh, we've also been part of this. We are also doing, part of the comedy, part of the jokes. So that's what I enjoy doing about it. And this comes from the live music gig, right?
Yeah.
Every single gig that we have been to, the hundreds of gigs, our favorite ones are one where the audience
Audience is involved. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
right? If somebody's on stage and just come play 2 songs, 3 songs and go off, they're not even listening to audience. Or they don't even say, hello, Bangalore.
Yeah.
Then you're like, you're not invested in it.
Yeah.
Right? So that is where I think this live thing comes from. Absolutely. The fact that there is a synergy between those people who are attending and the people who are performing. And I genuinely believe I am performing. As a quizmaster, there is a performance.
100%. Yeah. Were there any... so I didn't realize when I asked that question that you might actually have been inspired directly from, say, live music performances or something. Are there any particular shows that you've attended or even seen where you saw that band and audience chemistry, which made you say, I hope to do that someday? It might be music, but might be whatever. Any examples you'd like to share?
The Roger Waters one, obviously, where he's just randomly having discussions with the audience members, and he's just walking around talking to people. Neil Morse, when there's a Neil Morse gig that I went to where he had the people. Also, the Jacob Collier did it recently, but Neil Morse has been doing it for years, getting the audience to sing the harmonies. Okay, you guys do this, you guys do that, and build the song over it.
Metallica is famous for always getting some kid to come and play the drums for one of their songs.
Or very famously, Bryan Adams getting a girl to come on stage and sing that song. Like, how many times we've been saying, pick me, pick me.
Yeah.
So, that is something I've always seen, and it's now nice to be on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, let's do this. Let's get the audience interested, invested. I have weird rounds in my quiz where audience have to do certain tasks.
Yeah.
But it's a quiz.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like, there's one task which I do, which is my favorite bit. I have 9 languages on the screen, and I say these are the 9 official languages of the 24 from the Indian Constitution.
Right.
Of these 9, only 5 are on the back of your rupee note. Okay? All of you. And everybody will take out the wallet, they look at it, doesn't say. You have to, these people have all used the rupee note. Everybody's seen it. It's something that's in your hand every day. Not Chuck uses only 2,000 rupees.
He's fancy.
Yeah, he's a very fancy fellow he is. Yeah. So everybody takes out the note, and for the first time in their life, they realize at the back there are so many languages, and they don't know what those languages are.
Yeah.
And there's like this 2 minutes of everybody going, no, this is that is this. And on stage are the 9 languages. 2 of them are Nepali, Konkani, Kashmiri, and Manipuri. Okay, these are 4 of them. And everybody's like, Nepal is a different country. No. Kashmir, no, Konkani doesn't have a script. Take it off. It's okay. And then like, but Kannada is there. Urdu is it there? Okay, must be Urdu is there. Then they leave it. And everybody will be like, okay, these are questions. I'm like, wrong. According to the Reserve Bank of India, Konkani is on there. Kashmiri, it's there. And Nepali, it's on the back of your note. And everybody's like, wow. And then everybody just looks at the note. And then I put up the picture from the actual RBI, RBI.in, and the picture and says, these are the list. Then I say, by the way, it's an alphabetical order. They're like, oh, Assamese to Urdu. And they read everything. And they're like, oh, wow, we did not know
Again,
this.
Epiphany.
Yeah. And then every time they take a note, rupee note, you're like, I did not know
Also,
this.
nostalgia to an extent. What is the last time you used a rupee note?
That's for you. I go out and have chai. I have given
Rupee note. Okay, but amazing. Like that's such a good example of.
Who's the only prime minister who have signed a currency note?
Oh wow, that's a really good one. I don't know. Genuinely,
I'm going to pick a random guess.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I know.
IK Gujral.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to even pretend like.
Prime ministers don't sign currency notes.
Right.
Usually the RBI governors sign.
So
someone, Manmohan Singh.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Because Manmohan Singh was the RBI governor for a few years. So he is the only prime minister whose sign was on a rupee note.
Yeah. He didn't sign it as prime minister, but he signed the RBI governor. Yeah.
Okay, so
10 points to you. Sorry, you didn't make it to the final.
It's fine.
Also, I use the rupee note, so I need 10 extra points.
Last question, I think from my side at least, is it actually I wanted to ask this a while back when we were talking about expertise and once you're an expert in a field, then all that sort of thing we were talking about. One of the things that we and this just to land it back to creators and what part of this might be tangibly useful to some of the folks who sign up for the 6% club is one thing we ask them to think about is what role they play in their content project. And that is to say, are you an expert in the sense you have already achieved, like you have achieved mastery of your field, craft, whatever, and now you're disseminating? Or are you a peer, right? In the sense, I don't know this field, but I am kind of figuring it out, and I'm your voice. I'm taking you along with me. I feel Freakonomics, for example, is an excellent example of the second one. Dubner's not an expert in anything, but he's asking the questions that you and I would, and he's figuring it out with us. The reason I ask this, and this is more tilted towards the expert kind of thing, which is to say that you said some of your colleagues are happy leaving at 5 or, whatever the case may be. What are the various cuts you feel that one of those people, or maybe even you, could take to create content? Like, for example, like this is a very random question, I know, but having achieved mastery or knowledge of one thing, you can choose to go down the funny path. You can choose to go down the trivia path, say, something like what you do. The same message that you're trying to communicate may be done through a completely different kind of more serious storytelling kind of route, if I may. So, I mean, this is not a very well-structured question, but do you have kind of like a framework to think about that? I have achieved a certain level of mastery or knowledge in this, or maybe because of a certain experience I've had, I am best suited to talk about this. What is the format or medium or means by which I can communicate this? Does that make sense at all? Like, it's a very clunkily phrased question.
Okay.
I didn't have it written down. It's not very coherent.
No, I get what you are getting at, and here's the point. To say that somebody's mastered something is implying that the subject they've mastered has stopped growing.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Right. And in all of my cases, that's not true. I can't say I'm a master when what I am doing
Fair
is
enough.
on every single day.
Push the knowledge boundary.
I am literally, if you could say, like when I talk about antisense oligonucleotide technology, which is the technology that I'm working on, is making synthetic DNA which goes at the mRNA level and is snipping the basic fundamentals of life. It's literally cutting edge technology.
Yeah.
And that is something.
I see what you did there.
Yeah,
brother.
and that is 10 years old. Right? After us came CRISPR-Cas9. And there's still more things happening right now. So it is a journey. But the problem which I think is evident is I am ahead and I'm catching up. Still not doing a good job, but I'm catching up. But there are a lot of people who are not aware that there is such a gulf in that information. And there are a lot of people who are happy with that gulf there. Saying, I have done 10 years of masters, I paid this much money, I have a PhD, I'm a doctorate, I have all of this because of that gulf. Why should I, for no reason, help these people bridge that gulf when I've tried so hard? I've tried so hard and got here.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. That was my journey. If I came here because of privilege, but I'm not going to abuse that privilege. I'm going to use that privilege to help others come up there. Like, I can tell them about this latest technology, but for me to learn that, I had to learn everything about the DNA, about the cell, about the central dogma of life, all the things that used to be, which don't. These guys don't need to know about that. They just need to know that this is happening right now. Again, let's go with music, right? Okay, one of the biggest fears in my life, like genuinely a fear that sometimes keeps me from sleeping at night, is the fact that I haven't yet heard my favorite band. And even talking about it makes me kind of weird because let me put it this way. Bach, one of the greatest composers of all time, the first guy who figured out you can have an entire piece just written for cello and have counterpoint and all that stuff. Imagine taking a TARDIS, taking a keyboard and showing him, brother, watch this.
What's this?
And you play a synth piece on a Nord Stage 4 or something, and take an Apple Mac and put it just GarageBand. I'm not doing Audacity, just GarageBand. 4 tracks. Check this out. It'll blow his mind.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't have even imagined what music will be in the future.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for example, if the great drummer Shivamani who does an entire 5-minute solo on an empty water can during Aroma's gigs, played for Bach. Bach will not be interested in his percussion. Bach will be like, what the hell are you having in your hand? It's a water can. What's a water can? It's a plastic can. What's a plastic? Why do you have water in plastic? Try explaining a plastic. He's not, forget about the music.
Yeah.
Explain what's a plastic.
Yeah.
So that is where Bach is. And he's just one of the greatest things ever. I am also in that position, right? I don't know what music is going to be in the future.
Yeah.
How they're going to make music. What are they going to do to make music? Are they going to find new notes? They're discovering new instruments. They're inventing new instruments random. So maybe I have not heard my favorite band yet. And that is very, very scary to me.
Is that scary or is it exciting?
It is scary. It is really, really scary.
But isn't that exciting in some way that your favorite song might be out there and you haven't discovered it yet?
But what if I never get to hear it? Maybe there is, like for example, Tinariwen. One of the greatest bands to ever come out of North Africa. Right? They exist because the lead guitarist had to flee from a burning tent in which its entire fam and the entire community was burned to the ground. Right? And he went through all of that and he comes out and he makes music as Tinariwen. And today that North African vibe is now everybody doing it. Tinariwen is like won Grammy Awards and doing tours. They have performed in Bangalore 3 times. Right? And how many people even know of them?
Yeah.
Right? So I know it is exciting. But it is exciting when you know you're going to hear it.
Yeah, sure.
But if you don't know you're going to hear it, because I'm not talking about 10 years or 20 years, how do you... In 200, okay, let's not talk about 1,000 years because you don't know if the earth is going to...
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk 100 years. In 100 years, if you take up the Grammy Award, we're not even going into the hipster movement.
Yeah.
Mainstream Grammy Awards. You don't know what's being
What
there.
is 2,200?
2124.
124, yeah.
We don't know. Do you know that when Billie Eilish won the Grammy Award for Bad Guy, do you know the percussion track for Bad Guy?
Yeah, it was. It's the signals or something.
It's
in
a crossing
Singapore
signal in Australia. So
in
you know
Australia,
the button you press to cross a pedestrian crossing. So that's a sound that comes on the Australian. So basically Grammy Award went to somebody sampling a pedestrian crossing sound. Yeah.
Yeah, and Phineas had spoken about this on Colbert or...
Absolutely. If they're doing stuff like this, imagine 100 years what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I can't be excited because I'm not going to be there.
Oh, okay.
So that scares me. So again, like you said, it's a process. We are all in this. We are in the journey. Right? I can only assume that because somebody watches my YouTube channel, the Tamil YouTube channel, and then they show it to their kid. Like, hey, look at this guy. Because there's 2 videos called Weird Instruments. We do a 30-minute talk about instruments that nobody's ever heard about. And the whole thing is predicated on this song called Balle Laka from a Rajinikanth movie. So Rajinikanth comes in, super entry to Nayandra dancing to a song called Balle Laka. SPB does this brilliant rap about it. Nobody knows what's a Balle Laka. The entire Tamil Nadu community is singing about Balle Laka, Balle Laka. Nobody's ever asked what the hell is a Balle Laka.
The Russian instrument.
It's a Russian three-string guitar. So when we talked about it, after all these years, all these tech bureaus, engineering kids, that's what a Balle Laka. We thought it's a good name for Nayandra. Like, what nonsense is this? So we talked about this whole weird instrument, right? So I am hopeful that about 30 years down, some kid will be like, this uncle talked about this instrument and this year they invented.
So don't be scared. I think you then play a role in the creation of a favorite song that you might never end up hearing, and what is more meaningful than that.
Yeah, I hope I can get to therapy after this.
But we have managed to get through this.
Yeah, but I have one question because we're talking about role of creation, right? So you spoke about storytelling in the sense of, maybe making someone curious or inspiring someone, a young person to come to science.
Yeah.
Right. But more than anyone, you would understand that as a country, we have been consistently cutting down on scientific funding.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's across. It's not one field. Any scientist you go to speak with today is struggling with that so much so that people have started to say that science is a thing of the privileged people now.
Yeah.
Right. Like only if you have to come from some sort of privilege to say that I will make a career in pure sciences.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So have you thought of taken all your, your passion for storytelling to the powers to be to say that this is why we need to invest in science? I know it's an outlandish thought coming from me.
It's not.
Wow, storytelling.
No, it's to the powers to be, because you're already a senior scientist, right? You are seeing the field not only from the field itself, but also the entire ecosystem of where science is going to be in India.
Yeah. Well, it's not outlandish. It's been done. And the TN government actually listened to us. So there's this nice organization called Bversity. It's an online organization, and the founders are actually my students who were at one point in time were interns. And I can't take full credit, obviously. There are many things that led them to do lots of interesting things. One of them was me. And now they are run purely by capital investment, and they're a multi-crore company right now. And they do two things. One, which is what the capital investors and the angel investors are, invested in, is that they do online master classes, exactly like acting masterclass and tech masterclass, but for biotechnology and for molecular biology, right?
Okay.
And that's how they make the money, by doing the courses for all over the world, right? So anywhere in the world, if you want to learn anything about biotechnology, molecular biology, pay the course fees and you get amazing content, including access to journals and so on and so forth. But the second part, which is where the Tamil Nadu government comes in, and they put in money, is that they go to rural schools, and whatever I've been talking to you about, we do it in Tamil. And talk to them about science, what science is, again using pop culture, entertainment. And then one thing we realized, every kid has a mobile phone.
Yeah.
Even if you go to the rural school, kid has a smartphone. So we came up with a small kit, which is made up out of cardboard, which you can convert your mobile phone into a microscope with a 0.5 mm aperture. So we go there, we tell them, okay, go to the pond over there, bring some water, put it in this tumbler, and now take your mobile phone, attach this cardboard, put 0.5x into it, and you can see paramecium, you can see hydra.
Wow.
And they're like, oh, this is all these things. I'm like, yes. So those are bacteria, and it's there in the water. We can show them all about that. Put on the flower, this is pollen, this is stigma, this is what sticks to the bee's butt, all that kind of stuff. Lots of fun things, right? And the government of Tamil Nadu is now invested in, and now they've said you can give more kits, and we're in the process of making a PCR kit. Now a PCR is like the Xerox copy for DNA. You put in a small bit of DNA, it does 30 cycles of it, and you get 3 million copies of your desired DNA. This is very famous from CSA Miami, all this stuff where they're like, oh my God, he's got a blood stain. Can you get a PCR on it now? Stat. And then they come back like, oh no, it's a father who did it. So that's a PCR, right? When I entered college in BSc, a PCR machine was like 8 lakhs. When I was in MSc, it was 4 lakhs. When we bought a PCR for a lab a couple of years back, they gave us one for 1.5 lakhs. These guys are making it for 20,000 rupees.
Wow.
And this is in just like 10 years.
That's in your lifetime you're seeing this shit.
Yeah, not
like 10 years.
Yeah, just education lifetime, not as a child or something.
Absolutely. I'll tell you something even better. 2001, the entire genome of humans was sequenced.
Yeah.
Right? In the US, one genome was sequenced. And it was a $4.5 billion effort in 2001. 2010, they sequenced the genome of a fly. $50 million. Right? Today, you can go to HCG, which is in Koramangala, and for 25,000 rupees, you can get your gene sequenced by yourself. 25,000, 27,500 with GST.
With GST.
You can get your gene sequenced. And that's in like 24 years. And people are like, okay, there's a startup which is like, I think we can make a portable version of this. Why would you want a portable gene sequence? Why not? Try it out. Go somewhere, you find some shit on the floor and you're like, which dog made this poop? I know. Sequence the DNA, get all the dogs in the apartment, test all the DNA. I know that's your Labrador which shitted in my corner.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think that this conversation would land on something that would make RWAs extremely happy, but there we go.
If my RW gets awarded, Berty, excellent idea.
Excellent idea.
I've had that eye on that Doberman in the next building. Yeah. So yeah, it's possible. And this is in the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So this is what the Tamil Nadu government is also saying we'll help. Professor P.T.R. Palanivel Rajan, who's a head of IT right now, fantastic dude, highly educated, and he's the one who's also like, Berty, let's do this. Let's take it to schools and we'll take it to colleges and all. And yeah, we have the backing, and it is happening.
No. Good.
Yeah.
Not an outlandish thought at all.
Yeah.
I'll give you a small story about privilege and the pursuit of knowledge. So there's this archaeological place called Keeladi, which is in just outside Madurai. And it's an archaeological dig which predates Harappan and Mohenjo-daro.
Oh, wow.
Right? And it's very old. It comes under the ASI. And the week before they opened it up, the museum, they wanted to have a small quiz in Tamil for all the local schools there. So they called me, son of the soil, come here, do it. So I said, yeah, done. And every single person, the principal of the school, the correspondent, the staff, and the people, the sponsors, they're like, in Tamil, they were like, listen, these are corporation school kids. Some of these girls are from Muslim families who have never left the village, not even gone to Madurai. They've not gone out of this place. Don't ask your weird questions. Ask straight questions. Who is the Prime Minister of India? What is the national language? Does not exist. So random stuff like this, they ask. Who is the captain of the Indian cricket team? Ask that. I was like, that's not my style. They're like, no. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to prove it. I showed them some random PPT and said, this is my... They're like, very good. Identify this animal, identify this state. Fine. My very first slide, okay, I put up the rules and I put up a GIF. And 3 of the teams were girls who were wearing proper burqas, school kids, class 8, and they snickered. They went, I was like, done. I proved my point. And I said, I'm going to change the set. I'm going to play the main set. They're like, wow, what? Why? I said, I'm going to prove it to you. So I called the principal in front. I like embarrassed them. Called the principal and the staff and asked, do you know what that GIF is? They looked at like, in Tamil, they're like, some chinky fellow doing some sign with their hand. This is what they said. And I asked the girls, can you tell what it is? They're like, that's Jungkook. I asked another girl, why is this? This is from Love Yourself. The other girl, why is he in the news? Sir, he's 25 years old. Next year, he can't be part of BTS because Korea has a strict law for military service when they're 25. So we are very sad that he won't be in BTS. And these kids have never left the city. They knew it from a GIF. Because they have access to knowledge. They have Instagram. They have TikTok. One of them has a BTS like background color. And when I did this, they're like, sir, can we take a selfie with you, sir? Yeah, come. And till today, the staff has no idea what a BTS is.
Yeah.
Right? But they believe, we teach, these kids are dumb in school. They teach, we decent syllabus. That's all they need to know. No, they have the pursuit of knowledge. They know it. That girl knew that the next month Red was coming out, the Taylor Swift, the new version. They talk in Tamil. They're just proper Tamil village girls. But that doesn't mean the whole thing about only the privileged have access to information does not work anymore. Especially when it's pop culture. It's gone. It doesn't. The mobile phone has broken down the whole class system of popular culture. It does not exist anymore.
So this one story just is like summarizes this entire episode, from Tamil to quizzing to music to technology to, I don't know, I suppose your general optimism about the world in some sense. So yeah, man, like I am floored. Berty, thanks, man. Thanks so much for doing this. I generally don't know how long we have gone on for, but this is going to be one heck of an episode when it comes out. So thank you.
One heck of a job for the editor.
Yeah, yeah. But no, man, seriously, thank you so much for coming on, for all the stuff that you do, man. Like, I wasn't kidding when I said, I mean, we have conversations almost every week. And I learn something new about you every time. And like about 70% of what you spoke about was like completely sort of new to me. So yeah, if you actually ever get down to putting everything that you have actually done into your LinkedIn profile, that's going to be one heck of a job. I'm just going to say. So no, man, thank you so much for coming on, for sharing so much of that. I mean, like, there's just so many takeaways for like so many different kinds of folks over here. So yeah, thanks once again. And I hope one day you will, I don't know, like, start something. I mean, you're already starting something. This weird series of shows that you're doing continue, like, grows. You take it everywhere. You like bring a heavy metal fest to India and somehow put in science in there. Oh yeah, that'll be So
absolutely,
yeah.
Oh, if you get the ocean to perform, I can do an entire talk about the Pleistocene and the era, the different eras. Have you heard of the band called The Ocean?
No.
It's a German metal band whose entire lyrics is about eras in zoology. Like for example, we have the Jurassic era.
Yeah, I'm reading a book about deep time, so I completely relate to what you're saying.
Give him the album.
Yeah.
You might not listen to the growl lyrics, but read the lyrics. If you just listen to what he's saying instead of growling, you're getting the timeline of evolution of the entire.
And he somehow draws it as a metaphor to the way we behave in the world these days. As you go deeper,
I think
into
they're now right now in the Devonian.
Yeah,
period.
Devonian period.
Yeah, they're right now in the
Devonian nascent is where we are right now.
I'm just really going to check this. Yeah.
But no, man, Berty, thank you so much once again for coming on. And
my pleasure. Thanks to you and thanks to the team. Thank you for putting up with all the stuff that we do. And have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks for apologizing on our behalf as well.